you make a toy of a movement? Welcome back to the Idea Supply Chain, where we take a look at where ideas come from and what makes those ideas valuable. If you've been following along in my previous videos, you know that I'm part of Build Space Nights and Weekends Season 5, and Week 2 was all about making a toy. Now, my idea was to build a movement around an abundant, generous future. And as part of that, I've got my Engineering Generosity newsletter. So that part's already kind of established. But what does a toy look like in this case? And as I was debating which way I should go with it, I realized something. In my newsletter, I do a lot of really deep dives into my thought processes, my approaches, my experiments, and all of that. It's pretty dense material. Just handing it to someone off the street, they typically are like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not going to really get into that. Now, I have found that when I get on a call with somebody and I talk through the ideas, they're really receptive to what I'm talking about. They do get the ideas. I just have to be able to explain it in a more one-to-one setting. But how do you do that without the one-to-one, like face-to-face meeting? So as I was pondering that, I thought, hey, why not try an email course? And so that's exactly what I put together. I went ahead and built a 5-day email course on abundant systems for creators. You know, I think creators are really at the forefront of the abundant future movement because it's all about taking ideas and crafting them and delivering them to people who need to hear them. But the problem is, as creators, we feel a lot of pressure to feed the algorithm. You've got to create, or the algorithm's not going to reward you with the eyeballs. Now, when you can do it for the long term, you're very likely to succeed because you're just going to last long enough to get good enough to be discovered. But it's a grind. And with abundant systems thinking, I really believe it doesn't have to be as much of a grind. And so I wanted to take some of the thinking I've been doing and take some examples and package that up into an easy to digest course as a way to see if I can get people into kind of the Substack newsletter and then the community and the lab that I'm building there, where I'm putting tools in front of people and saying, hey, let's go build some cool shit together. And so that's what I did. And, you know, I haven't had it in place long enough to really get feedback on it, but I'm excited for the process, if nothing else, because I was able to basically take one of my long newsletters and feed it into Claude and say, hey, turn this into a 5-day email course. And it did that. And it wasn't bad, but it also wasn't particularly good. And so what I did is I took that outline and that structure and just made it better. I've done a lot of stuff with courses and, you know, email courses specifically. And so I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do. But there are a couple different pieces in here that I think are really important. And I did for very specific reasons. So I wanted to outline them. First of all, as part of the email course, I created forms for each day of the course. There's an action item. And I wanted people to actually go through an exercise that would help them kind of take what they were thinking and put it onto paper in a way that is helpful. But also, if they wanted to share that with me, as they go through the course, I want to take all of their responses and put it into a customized report for them. So basically, I want to reward people who are willing to do the work. And if you're going to do the work, then I'm going to respond by putting something together that is helpful for you. And I will take some of my time to really customize it and, you know, basically share what I'm thinking about how I would approach a given user's, you know, criteria and their specific situation. So, you know, I have this set up now to where there's a form, they can fill it out, and then if they fill it all out, I'll give them, you know, personalized feedback. Because what that's going to do is it's really going to highlight, again, the people who are willing to do the work. And those are the people that I really want to work with. But the other thing I did, And you see a lot of people using like email courses as lead magnets. But what I wanted to do here is I didn't want to just say, okay, great, you sign up for this and then you end up in my newsletter. Because I think it's really easy to get people to sign up for something. When you're offering something, it's kind of this like idea of like, reciprocity. If you give somebody something, they're going to want to like give you something. And so, hey, here's a course, just need your email. Great. Now I'm going to grow out my email newsletter. It's got all these people. But I don't actually care about the numbers. What I care about are specific people. And so when they go through the email course, they don't automatically get subscribed to the Substack. In fact, they have to go and manually subscribe to the Substack. And I call this meaningful friction. And this is a concept that I've really been thinking about because all too often we try to reduce friction everywhere. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to go from point A to point B. And so a lot of people go from point A to point B, but then they're at point B and they don't really know what to do there because they just wound up there. That's where the frictionless path took them. And so instead of doing it that way, I wanted to introduce this meaningful friction as a way to get them to think about whether or not they wanted to take the next step. And if they don't, that's totally fine. So I give them the course and then I put the ball in their court and I say, hey, course is over. Great. Had some fun, had some laughs. Now it's up to you. You can send me an email, book a spot on my calendar. You can subscribe to the Substack. Watch the YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter. Whatever it is, I don't care. But it's up to you. If you felt that I provided value, great. We'll take that relationship and move it on to the next level, whatever that looks like for you. But I don't assume that that's what they want to do. And this is going to help me get better because it's going to make it obvious if I'm providing enough value that people want to take that next step. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But I'm not going to assume that I am because that doesn't help me get better. And in all of this, it's very much a case of how can I improve what I'm doing to make it as helpful and useful as possible to the people who are reading my work. Because for me, that's what it's all about. I don't care about getting bigger numbers. I care about being useful, helping people think about systems a different way, think about things from an abundant systems perspective, because that's what I view as optimal, not only for the individual, but for the collective group. And when we do that, we can build a much brighter future together. But we all have to kind of think in these terms because otherwise, a lot of the scarcity mindsets and scarcity systems kind of come back into play and really dictate the results that we get. We can do so much better than what we're currently doing. We just have to figure out how to get there. And so I need to know if I'm getting those thoughts across. And I can't do that by just assuming that I got someone to sign up for an email course and therefore they understand. They probably don't. And that's fine, but I need to know that. And that's why putting meaningful friction in so that I can use that to determine how effective I'm being in my messaging. Anyway, that's it for today. Hope that's a useful way to kind of think about things. I'll go ahead and drop a link to the email course in the description if that's something you're interested in. If not, that's totally fine too. It's all about what you need and what you want. And as a creator, I think this is something we have to really focus more on. How can we benefit our audience in more effective ways? That's what it's all about. It's all about helping the audience. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.